Seth Rollins' Heist of the Century at WrestleMania 31. A night that went from potential flop to instant classic because of one single move.
See, the build-up to that WrestleMania was, well, it was weird. Articles were already calling it a disaster waiting to happen. Fans were not happy with Roman Reigns as the main event contender.
Right, like against Brock Lesnar, no less.
Yeah.
It felt like WWE was trying to force him into that top spot instead of letting it happen naturally.
Exactly. Plus, it was only a year after The Undertaker's streak ended. Everyone was still reeling from that. The whole WWE universe felt kind of lost, like the company itself was struggling to figure out what was next.
And then there was Lesnar's contract. It was running out, and those UFC rumors were everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that added a whole other layer of uncertainty.
Using your champion A&D having a weak main event. No wonder people were worried.
But then, boom, days before WrestleMania, Lesnar resigns.
Talk about a power move. The stakes instantly changed.
It went from will Lesnar even show up to holy crap, who's going to take him down?
Right. Like they took what was a negative, the uncertainty, and flipped it into the most exciting part.
Genius, honestly.
But it wasn't just the main event. The whole night was nuts. You had Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental title in that opening ladder match. Place went bonkers.
Yeah. Bryan was the ultimate underdog. That win felt like a victory for all the fans who had been behind him for years.
And then, oh man, that RKO from Randy Orton on Seth Rollins. Out of nowhere. I still can't believe how smooth that was.
The athleticism on display that night was just insane. 1 minute, Rollins is going for the curb stomp. The next, bam, upside down, looking at the lights.
We can't forget Sting's WWE debut either. The icon finally going one-on-one with Triple H dream match, years in the making.
It was like symbolic, you know, the culmination of the Monday Night Wars almost. And then DX and the N-Way show up.
Talk about nostalgia overload.
And speaking of big names, The Rock showing up with Ronda Rousey to confront Stephanie and Triple H.
WWE knows how to pull out all the stops. But amidst all that, the main event was brewing.
Oh, yeah. Lesnar versus Reigns. And Lesnar is just dominating. Suplex City was born that night.
Brutal. I mean, you could feel the intensity like a force of nature unleashed.
Yeah.
But to Reigns' credit, he didn't just lie down and take it. He fought back.
He did. Even busted Lesnar open on the ring post. At that point, everyone's thinking, could this be it? Is Reigns going to pull off the upset?
And then those three notes hit.
Rollins' music. The place erupted. Nobody saw that coming.
Not a single soul. And suddenly, it's a triple threat match. The energy is absolutely insane.
Pure chaos. Both Lesnar and Reigns are exhausted. It was the perfect time for Rollins to cash in that Money in the Bank contract. Genius, really.
He saw his opening, hit Reigns with the curb stomp, and 1, 2, 3. New WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
The heist of the century? It was brilliant. Talk about a game changer.
It's like all the doubt, all that pre-WrestleMania negativity, it all got channeled into that one perfect, chaotic moment.
And that, my friend, is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, because that heist wasn't just a one-night thing. It had these ripple effects, changed the trajectory of multiple careers, starting with Rollins, of course.
Oh, absolutely. He went from, almost losing to Orton earlier that night to suddenly being the guy, the champion, holding the most prestigious title in the company.
He became the man, the champion you love to hate. His reign lasted over 200 days, and the character work he did, phenomenal. He was cunning, arrogant, always one step ahead.
It's like this guy was born to be a top heel, and it all came from that one risky move. No, for Roman Reigns, it was a bit rougher. The fan backlash after the heist was intense.
Some people saw it as WWE pulling the rug out from under him, even though it wasn't really his fault.
Right, but to his credit, he persevered. He just kept working, kept honing his craft, and eventually he became the face of the company, just like WWE wanted, but not in the way anyone expected.
It's almost like the heist forced him to adapt, made him even tougher.
Exactly. And Lesnar, well, he kept being a box office draw, that's for sure. Re-signing with WWE definitely changed things. He was more present, more involved. And that Suplex City thing.
Oh, man, legendary.
Just one catchphrase, born from that brutal match with Reigns, and it became a whole phenomenon.
So you have these three careers all intertwined because of that one night. Rollins rising to the top, Reigns finding his own way, and Lesnar solidifying his legacy.
It's crazy how one event can have such a huge impact, you know?
It makes you wonder, what if Rollins hadn't cashed in?
Ooh, the alternate timeline. Always fun to think about.
Right. Does Lesnar just destroy Reigns and walk out as champion?
Probably, yeah. I mean, Lesnar was on another level that night.
But would the fans have been okay with that? There was already so much pushback against Reigns. Imagine the reaction if he'd just gotten squashed.
It could have been a disaster, maybe even a full-blown fan revolt. Who knows?
Maybe WWE would have been forced to change everything. Like, what if Daniel Bryan, with all his fan support, had been in the main event instead?
It's possible that, in a way, the heist saved WWE from a huge mess.
And what about Lesnar? Do you think he would have stayed as motivated without that loss? Would we even have Suplex City?
It's all speculation, of course, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that Rollins' cash-in changed everything. Not just the immediate outcome, but the whole landscape of WWE.
It really shows you that even in a world of predetermined outcomes, choices still matter. Those split-second decisions, they can really change things.
It's like fate, right? And that's what makes the heist so interesting to me. It's not just a title change. It's about how unpredictable things can be, how one risk can rewrite history.
Now, some people might say that the heist was unfair, that Rollins didn't actually pin the champion. He just took advantage of the situation.
Yeah, but that's kind of the whole point of the Money in the Bank contract, right? It throws a wrench into things, creates that element of surprise.
It reminds you that in wrestling, like in life, you got to be ready for anything. You got to be ready to adapt and seize the moment, no matter how messy it gets.
And Rollins, he was ready. He wasn't just a powerhouse. He was a strategist, a schemer.
He understood the game, he knew when to strike, and he outsmarted everyone.
Yeah, that's what makes the heist different. It wasn't just about strength. It was about intelligence, about being cunning, being willing to break the rules.
It showed that wrestling is like a chess match. Sometimes the smartest player wins.
And that night, Seth Rollins played his hand perfectly.
We've talked about the wrestlers, the what-ifs. But what about the bigger picture? What does this whole thing say about WWE?
I think it shows that they're not afraid to take risks, to go off script. They embrace the unpredictable.
And sometimes it pays off big time.
The heist totally revived WrestleMania 31. It turned what could have been a forgettable event into something legendary.
And it solidified the Money in the Bank contract as this incredible tool, this thing that can create drama instantly and totally shift the power dynamics.
It's like a blueprint for future storylines, showing how one well-executed swerve can totally captivate the audience and have a lasting impact.
It's amazing, really. One moment, one decision can have such a huge ripple effect. You know, it makes you think, what does this all mean for the fans? I mean, we've talked about the wrestlers, about WWE as a company, but what about the people watching?
That's a really good point. You know, I think for a lot of fans, the heist is like, it represents that anything can happen feeling, which is what makes wrestling so exciting.
Yeah, the unpredictability, that moment where you're genuinely surprised, you know, you jump out of your seat because you didn't see it coming.
Exactly. It's like you're not just watching a story unfold, you're part of a live event. Anything is possible.
And it also shows you just how invested fans are in wrestling, emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. You connect with these wrestlers, you root for them, you feel their wins and their losses.
So when something like the heist happens, it triggers a reaction, you know, whether it's joy, disappointment, or just pure shock.
It gets people talking, debating, arguing online, you know, creates these memories that stick with you.
It's like we all shared that moment together. We can look back and say, I was there.
And that shared passion, that sense of community, that's a huge part of what makes wrestling special.
So to bring it back to the beginning, why IA Seth Rollins' Heist of the Century so legendary? Well, I think it's because it embodies everything that's exciting about wrestling. That unpredictability, the risk, the drama.
It was pure genius, a game changer. It took everyone involved to a whole new level and left this mark on WWE history, you know?
It gave the fans a story we'll never forget.
One full of twists and turns, with a climax that nobody expected.
A reminder that sometimes the moments you least expect, those are the ones that change everything.
That's wrestling for you, and that's life too.
Absolutely. Well, who knows what shocking events we'll dive into next time. Thanks for joining us on this one.